So, Rachel is doubling down on this, huh? I can't say I'm surprised. No, Evan Rachel Wood went on two morning programs today. She went on Good Morning America for a short segment, and she went on The View, that really tough audience, that really tough panel of women to grill her. Yeah, it wasn't much of a grilling. To their credit, they did at least bring up the lawsuit, but only as a kind of sort of peremptory way of like, yeah, we have to go ahead and get this like lawsuit thing in here, but none of us are really taking it seriously, and we're making it kind of very clear to the audience that no one here takes it seriously. All right. So yeah, she got asked about the lawsuit, but she dismissed those questions by saying, "Oh, I can't talk about legal matters," even though she, in the preceding minutes, she had talked about all kinds of legal matters and legal accusations, and that she's made against she and others have made against Brian Warner. Accusations of illegal and abusive activity, and a number of them have even sued him. So I can't talk about the lawsuit, but I can talk shit about this guy in all of these different ways without any evidence. Yeah, got it. If you're just coming to this case now or like recently, like I have a number of friends that I've made online and people that I've even had on my show who really haven't been paying attention to this, and that's fine, but really haven't been paying attention to this until the lawsuit. And so I can only imagine, I say that because I can only imagine that if you're coming to this fresh and you have not been following this Marilyn Manson saga, particularly those of us who have known since the beginning that this was a scam and a hoax, we could just see the bullshit, right? If you've not been following this, then it must seem like the craziest thing in the world that you have this conspiracy with all of these different women headed up by Evan Rachel Wood, a good actress, a great actress, I would say, who had a lot of esteem, in Hollywood, and a great career, and I suppose, enough money, and seems to be intent on self-destructively flushing all that away. Now, she thinks she's not. She thinks, that she's helping herself. She thinks that she's burnishing her activist credentials, and that she's going to be taken more seriously as a proponent of domestic violence advocacy, et cetera, et cetera. But really, what she's doing is she's destroying herself. And as I've said before on my show, we're at the beginning. Well, maybe not the beginning. As Winston Churchill would say, this is it's not the beginning of the end. It's the beginning of the beginning of the end. Well, I don't know where we are on that timeline, but we're not at the beginning, but still, we're pretty early. And there's a long road still to go, especially since Manson has sued Evan Rachel Wood and her co-conspirator, some would say mastermind of the whole conspiracy, if you can call somebody who's made so many idiotic missteps a mastermind, but Ilma Gore. Manson has sued both of them, and so they've got a long legal road ahead of them. So they can enjoy their moment this week with this documentary, this bullshit documentary. They can enjoy that, but it's got to be very strong in their minds, whether they want to deny it or not, that they are in some deep shit and that they've got a long road ahead of them. And that's the thing that's just so, in a psychoanalytic and a Freudian sense, it's really fascinating what Evan Rachel Wood has done to herself, or has allowed to be done to herself with this Ilma Gore relationship, in that it's really a profound act of self-destruction. And what she has done is she has taken a life that it seems like she kind of had it made in a number of respects in terms of career and success and all that. I know she has like problems, but obviously. But I mean, she took this life, this really very blessed life, and she seems determined unconsciously to just, like I said, flush that down the toilet, because what she has done now is she has ensured that she has several years of misery ahead of her. I mean, I would say that going through this lawsuit process now, I mean, look at what's happened with Amber Heard. It's been a long, drawn-out, extensive process. And Evan Rachel Wood and Ilma Gore and the others, they deserve everything that is coming to them, that I believe is coming to them. But I have to say also that it's just very sad that they unnecessarily put themselves in this position. And I know consciously they weren't trying to be self-destructive, but I have to wonder unconsciously how much self-destructiveness is at work here. Anyway, what about the interview? So she seemed very uncomfortable to me. Evan Rachel Wood did. Very uncomfortable. As a lot of people have noted, she was looking down a lot, especially when they asked her about the lawsuit. When they asked her about the lawsuit, she had that initial smirk, that Amber Heard-like smirk that a number of you have noticed. If any of you have seen Amber Heard in the deposition, Dr. Soup, the YouTuber, did a side-by-side on Instagram of Amber Heard smirking and looking down, looking sideways in the deposition, and then Evan Rachel Wood with the same expressions, the same posture and everything in the View interview. But really what was most noticeable is when they asked about the lawsuit, that's when the eyes went down and the eyes stayed down. They stayed down through the whole answer. And then finally, the only time that the eyes finally came up is when she moved away from the lawsuit and started talking about, I'm trying to save people and help people, and it's not about me. But the rest of the time, when she was talking about that lawsuit, those eyes were glued to the floor, and she was, doing these weird, stroking her chin. It's just very, very strange. The body language was very bad. And, I also noticed a number of other things. I noticed how at the beginning of that View interview, she got a dig in at Marilyn Manson's dad. Did you notice that, Hugh Warner? It was very, very subtle, but when they brought up Marilyn Manson and they said, and his name is actually Brian Warner, and she made a point of saying Brian Hugh Warner. Now, why did she do that? Did she do that because she really wanted to clarify for us, in case we were confused as to which Brian Warner we might be talking about, that in fact it was this one? No, I think that was very deliberate. She knows how much Marilyn Manson's dad meant to him and means to him, how devastating it was when he lost his dad, because Evan Rachel Wood, back in the day before she changed her tune about Manson, actually sympathized with him publicly online and tweeted or something like that and said, this person, that I care about has lost someone today. But that was back before you decided you were going to be a big activist and you were going to accuse him of assault and all these other things that never happened, right? Anyway, she knew what she was doing with that hue thing. That was really annoying. And really that just set the tone for the entire View interview. She had really nasty expressions on her face the whole time. And I understand there's going to be some people out here in the audience, in my audience, who are not plugged in, not clued into what's been going on, okay? And they're just coming to this fresh and they're like, well, sexual assault survivors, they do have strange expressions. They're reliving their trauma. They're triggered or whatever. Yeah. But look, some of us have already investigated this whole thing and we know she's lying. So everything I'm saying is off the basis that I already believe that this woman is lying with lots of evidence. And if you want to go look at Marilyn Manson's lawsuit, you'll see lots of evidence there of all kinds of things, from impersonating an FBI agent to participating in the hacking of Manson, the illegal accessing of his accounts, swatting Manson, putting him in danger, trying to basically frame Marilyn Manson for illegal pornography, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, putting together this huge conspiracy, recruiting these fake accusers with their false allegations to come forward at the same time, the same damn day, wasn't it? And accuse Marilyn Manson and then go on this coordinated media blitz where we'd have to see them. I'm so sick of seeing their faces too. Can I just say that? I am tired of seeing these women. And we're not even at the beginning of the end, Mr. Churchill, yet, are we? We're not. And so, I'm really tired of, that's my thought for the day. I'm tired of seeing their faces, but we're going to be seeing them a lot more, like I said. But my point is, they went on this coordinated media blitz. They've dragged this guy through the mud and it just continues. And so, I thought she looked mean and I thought she looked uncomfortable and I found her facial expressions very, very unpleasant. And it did look like Amber Heard. It really did. I mean, basically what we're seeing is what a highly toxic personality manifests as in terms of facial expressions when it's under pressure. And it's all these twisted up things. Anyway. So there was that. I didn't, very uncomfortable body language, as a lot of people have noted. I did not like how she said that she was a minor when she was 19 years old. Get the fuck out of there. Somebody on The View should have said something. That's just a basic error. That's just a basic faux pas, 19 is not a minor. 18, not a minor. And then the fact that that was just allowed to pass, that was crazy. And again, they spent so much time in the View interview talking about heart-shaped glasses, this music video, and she's accusing Manson of raping her on set, even though there's multiple people who were there on set who know that's BS. Evan Rachel Wood, even years ago before she changed her tune, said that it was fake. Come on, everybody knows it was fake. Come on. And they've not found a witness to say otherwise. They have not found a witness to say otherwise. If you watch Phoenix Rising, which I have seen, okay, this documentary that's coming out this week, if you watch Phoenix Rising, they offer no corroboration. If they offer some hearsay thing, Evan Rachel Wood's mom goes on camera and says, well, I had a friend of a friend, basically, or a friend of my ex-husband or whatever the fuck it was, said that she seemed really out of it on set and he was feeding her absinthe and cocaine. Yeah, but do we have anyone from set, anyone who really knows, who will come forward and say that Evan Rachel Wood and Marilyn Manson had real sex in that video, or that Manson was forcing absinthe or cocaine on her? No, it's not gonna happen, because it didn't happen. And Evan Rachel Wood continues to try to paint this picture of herself, and I get tired of saying it, as this naive child that was manipulated by this man. And she went to great lengths to clarify that as well in her View interview. She said, I was not drawn to him. He was drawn to me. I mean, she just wants to completely give up all sense of agency. Okay, she has an issue, such an issue with the fact, with herself and whatever crazy stuff is going on inside of her head, that she is relentlessly projecting all of this negative stuff onto Manson. But look, we've read interviews with you before, okay, Evan Rachel Wood, from the past. You already said that you flirted with Manson at the Chateau Marmont where you met. You flirted with him, and you even had this line about Showgirls, that you had the director's cut, was it right? Or the director's cut or the DVD commentary of Showgirls. And you were trying to show him how sort of I'm sophisticated and I'm edgy and I'm sexual and all of that. It's the same image that you cultivated, that you spent years cultivating even before you met him. You were cultivating that image. We can go back and look at all the stuff you were doing then. And I'm so tired of the fact that no one brings up that she dated, well, a couple of people have, but nobody in the mainstream media brings up the fact that she dated Edward Norton when she was a teenager, okay? Before Manson. And he was a lot older, but somehow that gets a pass. Why are you not out there, Evan Rachel Wood, talking about how Edward Norton groomed you? And how he swooped in on you and he made you like him? Or is he next? Maybe if this whole thing is successful with Manson, then you can move on to him. I bet Edward Norton, like I've said before, I bet Edward Norton is sweating bullets. When's she gonna turn on me? And they did a movie together, so he really groomed her, right? He was, that whole time they were acting together, and he's just he's observing, he's learning, he's just waiting to pounce. Edward Norton, Maybe we need to start a campaign about Edward Norton. No, against Edward Norton. No, I'm kidding. But I'm just saying, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Anyway, what else? She says, Brian and I didn't have a BDSM relationship. Right. So, yeah, we knew that. We know that your relationship was really actually very vanilla, because I've interviewed people on my show who testified to that. Okay? But what they also said, what the people that I've interviewed on my show also said, is that Marilyn Manson was extremely gentle with you, that they never saw any inkling or sign of abuse, that in fact you were the manipulative one in that relationship. So, Evan Rachel Wood. What else? I something else I have to say about this woman. She is a very boring woman. A very boring woman. And I don't know and I say that because I've watched a number of interviews with her, and it is the same. It's just a bunch of pretentious activist, empty BS. Right? It's platitudes. It's just a lot of platitudes, and it's so boring. And it reminds me of Amber Heard. What I would like to do is a kind of a mashup of Evan Rachel Wood talking about all of her activism, and then Amber Heard talking about all of her activism. And I swear it could be sisters. And so I guess that's just a manifestation of the personality disorder, I think BPD, That's also what Amber Heard's therapist diagnosed her with. Well, he diagnosed her with basically like every kind of toxic personality disorder you can have, right? I'm trying to remember how it was stated in the UK trial transcripts, but as Johnny Depp repeated it, what the marriage therapist had said, but it was something like she is a toxic, borderline narcissistic personality. It's like basically just like the worst, you know. She's not quite like a psychopath like Jeffrey Dahmer, but you know, I would actually rather be friends with Jeffrey Dahmer than Amber Heard, because I mean, you know, you're probably most of us are safer with Jeffrey Dahmer than Amber Heard, since I think wasn't Jeffrey Dahmer like only attracted to a particular type. Anyway, that's a whole other subject. There's a Netflix series coming out about Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm really excited about it. But anyway, so yeah, she seemed very, very uncomfortable. She seemed and the stuff about grooming, the lies about being raped on set, all of that, you know. And they asked her, you know, and they did, to their credit, they did ask her, you know, about the lawsuit. I don't feel like they gave her the grilling they should have, but they're just not capable of doing that. I mean, almost no one is capable of doing that now, sadly. But, you know, whatever, at least it's out there. At least the people who watch these interviews know that, that there is a lawsuit by Marilyn Manson, and that he did accuse her of doing some shitty things. So yeah, that's what I thought of it. And I actually like, by the end, okay, so I think there was one moment, well, there were several, but there was one moment of that interview that was just hilarious. And like I said, I'm putting together a mashup of my favorite moments from the interviews, and where I'm like just responding to them. And I hope to have that out soon. But at the end of, I don't know which interview it was. Anyway, she says whichever interview it was, she says, and it got to be so bad. I was so depressed, right? Because of all the trauma that she'd been through with Brian Hugh Warner and all of that, right? And so she said, I was so depressed or whatever that by that point, I had friends. My friends were just driving around. They were just waiting. They were just waiting for me to call them. They were just driving around waiting for me to call them. So you have like these friends who are like on like some kind of like standby, and they're like, man, she's so crazy. I guess she could off herself at any time. So we need to like circle the neighborhood for hours. Dude, those are some good friends. I wonder how much you have to pay people to be those kinds of friends. I'm curious how much you paid people to participate in this conspiracy against Marilyn Manson. Have no proof or anything of that. Have not heard that's the case, but how did you get all those women? How did you get all those women to line up against him and tell lies? And was it just with the promise of publicity? Was it just with the promise of, oh, you're going to be famous? I don't know. I bet there was some money going on, some money changing hands. And I would say the same thing with Amber Heard, right? Those of you who followed the Amber Heard case closely, she paid some of those people off, right? She had to have paid some of those friends off to lie for her, right? Isn't that the consensus in the Amber Heard watch community? Anyways, so yeah, I thought that was just so ridiculous when she said that she had friends who were driving around the neighborhood just waiting for her to call. Oh gosh, like how long do they drive around? Like, were they driving around for days? You know, she's like, oh, she's on a multi-day bender with the coke and the Molly and whatever. So we're just gonna drive for days around LA, right? Or was that Tennessee, after you moved your son there to get away from his father, Jamie Bell, and then you lied to Jamie Bell and the courts and said that you were doing it because you were terrified of Marilyn Manson, and that you even had to install bulletproof windows in your home because you were afraid, I guess, that Marilyn Manson was going to send a hit squad, like in Scarface, the end of Scarface or something. I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So maybe some of your friends were driving around Nashville all night just waiting to get that psycho call that you have lost your mind. So yeah, crazy interview. And you know, like I said, I'm just going to continue to put out videos, put out interviews with people, and try to tear down this wall of lies that Evan Rachel Wood is still trying to erect and maintain. And I guess that's how it's going to be until she is just basically forced to heal, you know? Anyways, so as usual, you know, if you want to support me, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram. I always appreciate donations, PayPal, Patreon. I'm putting a lot of my time into this stuff. I've had a video coming out every day, often twice a day, for the past like couple of weeks, week and a half or so. And I'm going to keep it going. I want to have stuff coming out all week. But yeah, it's a big deal. And so I appreciate any support, and I think we're starting to make some progress. Even with this week that is going to be so shitty, with the lies and the HBO documentary and all the press coverage it's going to get. If you go on YouTube and you look, you see our videos. If you go on Instagram, you look, you see our posts. Like, we're making headway. And, you know, what was it, that line that Gandhi said about, oh God, now I'm going to butcher Gandhi, but something about, if you don't think that small contributions can make a difference, think about what it's like to be bothered by a mosquito. I have butchered it, but basically, you know, even a tiny mosquito buzzing around, biting you, that can be really, really uncomfortable. And so I like to think of those of us in the Manson supporter community who know the truth on this and are getting the truth out. I like to think of us as a number of mosquitoes, and we are increasing, we are multiplying, and we are getting bigger, and we are going to keep it up until the truth is known. All right, I'm going to have more for you very soon. Everybody have a good day. Bye-bye.